don't write these down?
There's like one handwritten copy of each that I then continue to change. I really don't have them typed up, which I know is a problem. Like if there's a fire or something happens to my head.
So you agree? Hasn't happened already? Aren't you a poet?
It's true.
How are you memorizing this without writing this down?
Yeah, okay, everyone asks me that, and the best I can say is that I'll just say people's brains have different talents. You know, like some people are good at directions, some people can draw something they see in their head. I cannot do those things. But I think my brain just likes to memorize things, which I swear is different than remembering things.
That's
like,
so interesting.
It's so different.
Because I never thought of it
Listen
that
to
way.
yourself?
No, I did when I was a kid, like when I was like 8, I started memorizing things. So I memorized like just for fun, like I memorized the Gettysburg Address. I memorized a lot of William Blake poetry, which then I would recite to myself over and over when I was like in jail and dodgeball, like suffering. You know? And then I don't know, like I was in marching band where you have to memorize like 15 minutes of music and you know, choreography. So like I think I just like to memorize things, and so when I write a poem like that, a lot of the poems, like basically all the poems you guys heard come through like in one shot for the most part, and then I do like a second, so that's like there's one draft, then the second draft is like the final draft, and I handwrite it, which helps. Yeah. And then usually it just takes a few times of going through it, and I've got it, and then like if I can remember all of the transitions, like the first line of each section, that's pretty good. If you forget a transition, that's where you're screwed.
We can see you reach for the transition.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're going for it. You're up here. It's like, where are you? And then you see her eyes find it.
I
Right?
know, it's so cool.
Yeah, it is neat.
I love that.
So I had mushrooms on the tree.
Oh, that was really cool.
Yeah, your poems are extremely articulately presented, and I was very impressed with the subject matter. And do you have it in the book?
I haven't published anything.
Oh, you haven't published anything? Oh.
Or even tried. I have not. Nary have I typed them.
It was really very, very
It seems as if you got an audience there.
So in a couple of 100 years, somebody will gather all that, and Homer will be a woman.
Working on it.
I think we're asking you to type these things up.
I know. Every winter I say I'm going to do it this winter, and
You can do it.
it hasn't happened yet. Well, John McKenna scared me. He's another Google poet, because he said that once he sat down to do that, and it was like going through his emotional past of like the last decade, and it was actually like he couldn't do it all in one sitting. And then that scared me. So I'll just blame John. I'll blame John.
Why do it in one sitting?
He was being dramatic. The text was different.
No, Wendell Berry
Wait,
has his
Barry
wife
actually.
do it, so
Barry,
you
did you have a
just
question though?
Your boyfriend
No, I
do it.
wanted to ex-girlfriend. That was fine.
Well, so you said, what was it, 2012 you started?
I started submitting that.
So what made you like
Not
stick with,
stop.
not put it in the bottom drawer
I
and
know, I
try
would've
and
been
start?
Because I love it.
Something
It's so much fun. It's so
you
weird.
still have confidence in is what I'm.
It takes time to get confidence.
Yeah, that's why I was.
Present your poetry.
Sure.
I really liked your poems. Both of them. I mean,
Can we just take a moment and appreciate the phrase MFA Mafia?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna that.
Here's that.
I was a BS and a BA, but I never went to the next level. You know, right? Well, I didn't even answer the question. Yeah, sure.
I'm 2 bricks in now.
Nice. Okay. That's progress, right?
2 bricks in.
Then he's talking about the poems, the shares. So
With
I
the
was
confidence.
I was really lucky to get my first book published in 2008. I submitted to a couple journals, and this one journal just kept like accepting the work, and he was putting together books. And I was like, "Would you like to see one?" And it made it happen. So with that, I had a book in 2008, and I got to run around Philadelphia and New York City and wherever else, and be like, "I have a book," and then it's so much fun to, as you all know, to be up here doing it, right? You know, it's like so much fun. So once you put your stamp on some words, and you like those words, right? Then you want to just keep reading them out loud. So that's where some of the confidence came from. And then getting poems published, like 46 of those were published in all kinds of different journals. You know? So once editors say, yes, which is something that I hope you start doing.
Yes.
You know, I get rejected all year long. Yeah, I mean, I keep a list of every submission, acceptance, rejection, and usually it's like 50 to 80 rejections in a year,
Whoa.
and maybe like 12 to 16 acceptances.
Do you send things out in K?
Sometimes.
Because that's expensive.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Depends if I want that journal,
Yeah.
how badly I want it. You know. But all that kind of, you know, and then going to readings and seeing amazing people. I always say like a win for a Philly poet is a win for me. You know, so like a win for a poet is like, yes, like we're doing this together and it's so strange. So that gives me confidence too, like seeing amazing work. Yeah. That's my answer.
Steve?
Amanda, have you at least recorded yourself reciting this poems yet?
John and Mosin just recorded something.
For your mom.
Anytime I get opportunity, I
And his
record.
wife.
But she doesn't give me
Okay,
much
good.
opportunity.
Yeah, they're captured somewhere, right?
That's a goal. That's another winter goal.
Maybe we can get something else right.
It's somewhere transcribed them.
Okay, you pick the type.
That's a goal. And then another goal
I
is to
just
Philly too.
enjoy coming and seeing.
I host a reading series the second Monday of every night at
What's this?
Every
sorry, second Monday of every month. Black Sheep Pub on the 17th. I'm an editor for Painter by Quarterly, which we host, and like, I host it. So you're coming down to Philly, January, February, something like that, to do a reading on whatever second Monday of that month is.
Where?
So let's listen
Black
what
Sheep
just
Pub.
happened. You didn't even hear.
The network.
Yeah.
Monday.
The second Monday of every month. Second Monday of every month. So this Monday, we have four poets. Yeah, everyone gets about 10, 12
Where
minutes.
is it?
Black Sheep Pub on 17th and
They
Pine.
moved from Brooklyn?
17th and Pine, I would like to, I mean, I'm a published poet, but
Yeah.
the way I did it, I mean, I was really, it's a long story, but
It always is.
I need places where I could go listen.
Oh.
I have no idea.
So,
If you
find me on Facebook.
Okay.
Right, it's super easy. Yeah.
So you're not far from Dirty Frank's
That's really.
That's correct.
then. Right down the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dirty Frank's is at 11, right?
Yeah, but it's like,
Yeah, 6 months. It's a great series. Paul does an excellent job
Joanne's right.
hosting.
You read in the dungeon,
I know.
right? It's got places like 3 floors, and sometimes we're usually at the top floor, but sometimes we go to the bottom.
But he has such a wonderful mix of different
Yeah,
poets and
there's so many,
voices.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an awesome thing to be part of. I was honored.
That's really nice.
Plus, he does a great job advertising on social media.
Oh.
So you got to connect with Paul on social media at.
Please.
Is it,
I'll see you. Yeah,
I'll see
oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Type my name in.
Amanda, are you on Twitter? I look for you.
I'm not on Twitter.
Ah,
No.
explained
No,
it.
just Instagram.
You're on
Facebook.
Instagrams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
Instagram and
under
Facebook.
Locust Light Farm.
Yeah.
It's
Is
my
there some kind of festival?
where are they? Oh yeah, we're having a Homestead Festival on Saturday. So my farm's on a shared property with 2 other businesses. So there's Roots River, which is an organic veggie farm, the Farm Cooking School, which is a farm to table cooking school, and then I'm Locust Light, so I do medicinal herbs. And we are in Titusville, which is just south of Lambertville. So it's one road past the road that Cowell Living History Farm is on, like past the Golden Nugget.
10 minutes.
So we're having a festival.
Pleasant Valley Road, right?
Pleasant Valley Road, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having a Homestead Fest Saturday, and I teach. Mostly, what I do is I teach herbalism classes. That's my main thing. So any of you are welcome to come or ask me. And Ryan's gonna be there. He's gonna help me. So
How about back to poetry? I wonder if you could just briefly explain your writing process, and then we'll open it up to the open reading.
She doesn't have.
I know.
Well, I'll say this, as Joanne read in my bio, so I've always loved writing, but all the way through college, I only ever wrote research writing, and I loved it. And I just never had anything to say. I could never see myself doing creative writing or like telling a story. And it wasn't until when I was in school, I always farmed in the summer, but I was planning on going to law school. And it wasn't until after college when I was working on a farm full time and decided I wanted to do that, and I was like really living into the farming life, that like this thread came into my head, and I realized that all these phrases I'd been hearing my whole life could be a poem if I just tugged at that thread. And that's how the poems I like the most, that you all hear because they're the ones I like the most, that's how they all start. It's just like there's a phrase that gets stuck in my head, then I tug at it. So the last poem I did, the phrase was just the ants were the first to leave. And I wasn't like sitting down to write a poem about climate change, but you know, that's what I think about all the time, and just the way all of the magic that we're losing and the things that we're losing. And there's a writer, Robin Wall-Kimmerer, who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, and someone asked, she's a botanist, an ethnobotanist, and an indigenous person, and someone asked her, like, facing so much loss, like species loss, biodiversity, like loss of just everything, you know, how do we choose what to fight for? And she said, think of the thing that you're not willing to lose and fight for that. And really, for me, that thing is the gnomes, like, which I know sounds crazy, but it's like this, like the unseen magic in nature, and like there needs to be places for that can happen, where that can happen. And the more we deforest, the more we develop, even just the more we manicure spaces, the less space there is for life. Like the more manicured a space is, unless it's manicured, you know, with like native plants and things like that, the more manicured and mowed and tidy a space is, the less space there is for life. You know, there can be grass in an acre, but that's an ecological dead zone.
Chemicals.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's basically my part. And so I think for me, the more I went like working with my hands, I'm kind of a person. I always like thought of myself as someone who's just much more like intellectual. Like I'm not like a maker of things. You know, I didn't like grow up loving using my hands, but I use my body a lot for work. And I think the more that I use my body and use my hands, that helps the poetry to come through. And it's always just that like pulling. I just feel like it's like following the thread and like pulling the thread out.
What's your writing process?
Sounds pretty good. I guess similar. I wrote my first poem when I was 19. I was at a concert and I heard this voice. And I was like, what the hell is that? That was weird. And the next morning I still remembered what the voice was saying. And I wrote it down. And it was terrible. You know, it was a terrible poem. But I liked how it felt to write. I liked how it felt. And I spent like, you know, a year writing terrible poems, but loving how it felt to be like, oh, I'm doing something artistic, or whatever, right? But I fell in love with it. So it's just, I have to feel it first, you know? I could hear it, which is like a crisis almost. Because it's like, what do I do with this thing that something's saying to me, you know, like pulling at the thread. Like it's like, oh, I have to get this sentence out, whatever this is. And then I go nuts on it. I just write it and I read it and I read it and I read it and I make changes and edit and edit and edit and smooth it out until I don't resist anything. I don't resist a single word. If I have constraints, I stick with them. There's a lot of constraints in that book because it was so wild that I had to have constraints. You may or may not have heard any of them, the scavenger hunts. The book is a constraint.
Is that the first time you did something with like, like a graphic, just like a spatial organization?
No, my third book is a book-length visual poem, the Wildlife Rifle Fire book. It's like 92 pages, 96, and each page is its own like visual poem. It's a visual poem, they're concrete poems. But then if you read the whole thing, front to back, it's one poem. But each one exists on its own. So that was, Wildlife Rifle Fire was written like 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010, whatever. And this started in 2009. So it was all kind of the same time.
You want to talk about the cover? Because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Alexis Incarnato. She's my coworker. I asked her to do it, and she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
The font is just, it's wild, and it was just perfect for what we were doing. What's
How long
weird
did
is
it take you to come up with the
I didn't do it.
the
No,
title?
the title was always there. I always knew.
Is that a poem in there?
No, so
Oh.
it's takeout delivery, which
Right.
is like food, right?
Yeah.
And and all the titles are "We've come for your whatever," right? And they're